Jungkook can no longer endure Jimin's problems. Nothing prepared ARMY for a surprise this big. Without warning, without an official announcement, and even without a statement from the agency, a single sentence from Jungkook during military training became the most shocking signal that shook the BTS fandom world. Jungkook could no longer hold back the truth, and Jimin, who has always been known as a strong and cheerful person, stood on the brink of a major decision that broke many people's emotions. What really happened behind those military barracks? That sentence came amidst the sounds of marching footsteps and commanding officers. That afternoon's military training seemed like any other day until Jungkook, the youngest BTS member currently serving in the military, stood in the middle of the field, raised his hand, and stopped everything. "I can't stay silent anymore," he said in a hoarse but firm voice. The atmosphere instantly turned tense. His fellow soldiers turned to look. Jimin, standing not far away, only stared at the ground. Then the sentence came out, the sentence that made the air feel frozen. Jimin will complete his service early, in June, not because he wants to, but because he has to. In an instant, it wasn't just the soldiers who fell silent. The digital world erupted. ARMY around the world poured out their shock in thousands of tweets, comments, and emotional posts. Why does Jimin have to leave early? Is this about his health condition? Or is there something deeper that has been hidden from the public all along? The information revealed by Jungkook was not just ordinary news. It was a profound confession involving personal emotions, a sense of responsibility, and a brotherhood that had formed since their trainee days. In uniform, they might be the same, but inside, Jungkook is still Jungkook, Jimin's friend since their trainee years, and he couldn't let this news come out without meaning. The decision to speak, according to sources within the division, was unusual. Jungkook is always obedient, but this time, he chose to break protocol for one reason: honesty for ARMY. From unofficial information gathered from several soldiers, Jimin had shown signs of physical decline since early this year. Frequently absent from night training, tiring more quickly, and sometimes struggling to complete certain sessions. Still, no one expected it would lead to an early discharge. Internal medical examinations revealed something, but HYB remained silent. The only statement released was a single diplomatic sentence: "We respect personal decisions and applicable regulations." Behind HYB's silence, ARMY felt lost. They needed clarity, and that's what Jungkook gave. But that honesty came at a price. Jungkook himself appeared emotionally devastated after the confession. According to eyewitnesses, that night he trained alone longer than usual. Push-ups, sit-ups, and running around the field in silence, not for training, but to vent his feelings. He didn't want to cry in public. "But we knew he was deeply hurt," said one of his military mates, and Jimin? He didn't say a single word, sitting at the edge of the field, turning his back to everyone, silently staring at the ground. Empty eyes, lips that couldn't speak. No hacks, no long explanations, only silence, portraying how heavy the decision was. He, who had always been the positive energy among the BTS members, seemed to have lost a part of himself. Speculation began to surface. Some fans linked this decision to Jimin's past shoulder injury, which, although healed, might have relapsed due to intense military activities. Others suspected that the mental and emotional pressure in the military environment was the main trigger. However, no one can be certain except HYB and the military authorities. Whatever the cause, one thing is certain: this is not the farewell anyone hoped for. BTS fans had been waiting for the moment when all members would return together after completing their national duty. That hope is now cracked. Disappointment mixed with bittersweet emotion flooded the global ARMY community. They wanted to send Jimin off with warm hugs and cheers, not with silence and tears. Yet behind all this, ARMY also demonstrated incredible solidarity. Hashtags like #StayStrongJimin and #WeSupportYou Jungkook trended across platforms within hours. Open letters, supportive videos, and digital artworks flooded timelines as a form of their love. They knew this is not an easy time for both of their idols. Now, the world awaits an official clarification from HYB. But regardless, the emotional impact of that moment is already unstoppable. Jimin will leave sooner. Jungkook will wait alone. And millions of ARMY hearts will continue to tremble, waiting for the day they can see the two of them standing together again, smiling freely, under a bright stage. Because for them, BTS is not just about music. It's about family. And family, even when apart, will always find a way back. Will we hear an official explanation? Is this truly the end of Jimin's military journey? Or is there another surprise yet to be revealed? Time will tell. But for now, the world knows one thing. Jungkook couldn't take it anymore. And ARMY's hearts are shattered. Dio, you think Jimin will give an official statement soon? As this shocking news spread widely, starting with Jungkook's spontaneous confession in the barracks, then quickly rippling through various digital channels, questions began to arise. But amidst the chaos of emotions and the wave of sympathy exploding across social media, one fundamental question deserves to be pondered. Did all of this really happen? Or is it merely a constructed narrative intentionally designed to grab public attention? The news of Jimin's early discharge from military service was delivered emotionally, touchingly, and seemed sincere. But let's pause and ask a deeper question. As a viewer and follower of BTS, are you truly convinced that this event unfolded as described? Why has there been no official, detailed, and transparent confirmation from HYB or the South Korean military authorities? Hasn't every significant decision involving BTS members always been announced in a structured and professional manner by the agency? Then why did such an important statement come from Jungkook's mouth in an unexpected moment and without coordination? Isn't it highly unusual for an active soldier, celebrity or not, to share personal and sensitive information about a fellow unit member in a public military setting? This question matters. Why? Because the narrative that's been developing on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, and other digital fan bases has been presented in snippets of inconsistent, often emotional, and frequently unverifiable information. Are you aware that most sources in this case are just anonymous confessions, short videos without context, and unconfirmed screenshots? In this digital age, public emotion is a weapon, and emotionally touching content, implying farewell, betrayal, or emotional crisis, always carries a strong appeal. That's why we need to ask honestly, is it possible this is a form of narrative engineering, intentional or not, designed to shape public opinion, boost media exposure, and maintain the relevance of two public figures during their career hiatus in military service? We're not saying this event is a hoax, but we also can't accept the entire narrative at face value just because it feels emotional and too real not to believe. How often have we been fooled by seemingly sincere scenarios that turned out to be part of brand or perception management strategies? In the history of the Korean entertainment industry, and even globally, it's not new for personal events to be used as part of brand and public perception management. Therefore, in facing the news about Jimin and Jungkook, personal reflection and healthy skepticism are essential. Every piece of information, especially those without official sources, must be examined with questions like, who first spread this news? Is there visual evidence or official documents supporting the claim? Why hasn't HYB released a press statement or clarification conference? What are South Korea's military communication standards for personal soldier information? And, most importantly, does this narrative benefit certain parties if it's accepted blindly by the public? Certainly, we cannot ignore that. Fans have deep emotional ties with BTS, and such news is deeply upsetting. But precisely because of that, emotion is a vulnerable battleground for manipulation. Unverified information can be used to stir turmoil, create illusions of conflict, and subtly pit public opinion against itself. It must be emphasized again that this article is based on a compilation of information from various social media channels such as TikTok, Twitter, Twitter, YouTube, and several online community groups claiming internal access. But to date, not a single official source from HYB, the South Korean military, or a spokesperson has explicitly confirmed Jimin's discharge time or the specific reason behind it. Therefore, we urge readers, especially ARMY and the general public, not to immediately believe every emotionally stirring narrative. Not everything that touches the heart is truth. Not every tear shown in the media is real. And not every confession, no matter how sincere it sounds, is free from behind-the-scenes agendas. Even if it's true that Jimin will return early due to health reasons, such a decision should be respected and managed wisely by the institutions involved. But if this information is the result of excessive expectations, or even a misinterpretation of an incomplete moment, then it is our collective responsibility not to help amplify that disinformation.